Video game hails here from Rauta. This time we have a band with a name taken from video game, Deathmatch. This one is a Finnish band, Luna Kills, who now has this new album out, 4th of April being the release date. This is a curious case because, technically speaking, this band has already way more all kind of different merchandise out there versus the actual music. For the record, at the moment before actual release date when I'm filming this, even Discogs doesn't even recognize the band. Yet the band has multitude of different merchandise out there and all that stuff. Maybe it tells more about music industry than about the band, so let's not be negative about that. It's just a funny anecdote. And of course, the band doesn't, at least at this point, have a Metal Archive site because, well, either it doesn't really count as metal or it's not just because this album is not yet out. Anyway, here we go. Deathmatch is the name of the album. Comes with a blue-black color themes. Features a booklet. And that's pretty much of it. Let's remove the inlay while I'll talk you about this. So this one is a 4-person band. Female vocalist, very talented one, and then 3 guys. And this is how it looks. Not the most readable font in terms of figuring out the song titles, but maybe this is not meant for people of my age who have, difficulties reading small fonts given the age and all. So here's the cover, a little bit vague, but at least can't say it's horrible AI art. And here is what it's worth, the lineup. So 3 guys, 1 woman, and also then a statement regarding mental health. You're not there alone. And traditional thank you list, which is something that I kind of tend to miss these days. Back in the old school days, bands would go to lengths with, thanking other people, the shows and, tours, labels, whatever. And it was fantastic read to always find new bands and all that stuff. So it seems like these kind of thank you lists are rarities these days. Some bands do have them, so many don't. So, what about the music? What can you expect when an album is called Deathmatch? Now, the first thing first is more, hey, it's gotta be thrash, it's gotta be death metal, something like that. But no, this video game title is indeed, I guess, inspired by video games, because at least I read some references where this was pointing out towards, video games inspired music. To sum it up very, very briefly, would be say, this is modern alternative metal. And that can, of course, mean a variety of things, lots of different things, really. So to call this hybrid something, it's not that easy. First of all, there are lots of elements which could really come out of pop music. I mean, you kind of have those softer, very easy to listen, very easy to approach kind of parts, where you have a lot of synthesizer, nice female vocals, clean obviously, and all that stuff. But then again, also these kind of heavy guitars, which are more like metalcore parts. But to call this metalcore wouldn't really justify. I mean, it doesn't really make sense because there's more than that. But those metalcore parts are like part of it. So metalcore, pop music, heavy guitars, lots of electronics. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to deal with the alternative title, even if it's indeed quite vague. But then again, so is extreme metal, and we usually kind of figure out where this is going, even if not directly some kind of a Black Death, whatever. Either way, this album lasts for less than 40 minutes, so it's quite compact, but actually works for the favor of the band, meaning the songs are not overextending their stay, but rather short and sweet, or radio-friendly for that matter. And basically that's what it is. This sounds so American. It's almost like you could hear the music being played in your head while watching some, more TV series, and while the end credits are rolling, you would have some badass riffing with the, nice female vocals, and they're, just going on with the background. Or maybe it's a movie trailer which wants to be so badass ways, this kind of modern stuff. Maybe action, action, it's gotta be action. So in a way, very, very, very modern stuff. I mean, this is nothing like any of those retro bands that are going to the nostalgic phase. This is very much of 2020s, for the better or worse. I guess this is more aimed by young people for another set of young people. Not the old farts who are looking for their old dose of heavy metal or death metal or whatever. No, this is meant for nowadays youth. post-metalcore, post-deathcore, post all kind of mallcore things. You want to have a lot of those electronics. Even if you don't, they are there, right there. And it's kind of curious because this lineup, if you paid any attention, it mentions guitars, bass, vocals, drums. Sure, all the basic ingredients for metal rock music. What about the electronics? Why are they not emphasized? Electronics first, because in my opinion, this album is mostly dominated by the vocals and electronics. Even if there are some riffs, and of course drumming as a backbone, but still. Now, when it comes to vocals, this vocalist Lotta is a very, very talented one. She has a multitude of different voices and ways to just express herself. Some are, I must say, kind of annoying, but they are only like seasonings here and there. Mostly, it's just nice to hear the variety of things happening. So really, she's the one doing the heavy load carrying here. But unfortunately, a lot of these songs don't really resonate with me. Either I'm too old for this shit, or then I'm just in for totally different kind of music. I mean, a lot of ideas are here well executed. For example, the production is wonderful. For this kind of music, it's near perfect. It's heavy, but yet it leaves enough room for each instrument to sound. Maybe the bass could be louder, but like I said, it's really good. And the vocals, like I said, they're very, very talented. So she has a lot of skill and is not afraid to express herself in a variety of ways. So technically speaking, a lot of things are done right here. But when it comes to the actual songs, I feel like, yeah, you have nice amount of different gimmicks right there. But what about the actual songs? They don't really resonate that much. There are no killer riffs, which would be kind of a mandatory if you want to make that some kind of a hit song. Then again, this also feels like a little bit radio friendly. Means that it is very, very, very much fitting to play on a given radio station which plays rock and heavy metal music. But that being said, it's more on the background. So it's the kind of stuff that you do your groceries with. You're like, okay, this vocalist has a nice tone. Okay, where is the cucumber and bell peppers and what have you? So my point here is produced nicely, and I could imagine these bullet points being drawn to the paper while doing this. They're right there, except for where are the killer songs? Where are the songs that makes this memorable? Where are the songs that really make this band stand out? So, to be honest, I'm assuming this is the debut album so far because there was very, very little information on the band side or no mention on the Discog side. So, for a debut album, I guess it's a decent start, but don't expect anything too fundamental. I mean, there is no wow moments here really happening. But at least the guys can play, they have the production, they have the merchandise, and they have gigs. So maybe eventually it will really land them another go, and this time the launch, yeah, it's gonna be bigger, I guess. I'm guessing. But more focus on those killer riffs and killer parts. And if you want to go more electronics and forget about the riffs, well, make those electronics stand even further. Now they are too much on the background. Even if there's something happening all the time, it's just too much of that gray mass, which is there just like an ambience. Yeah, filling every possible corner and the whole background, but nothing really sticks, and that's the major problem with the given album. But for those of modern music sound and favors and whatnot likings, go for it. And links are provided in the description box as always. Take care.